So tonight we're going to be learning Maseches Shabbos Daf Kav Zayin and part of Daf Kav Ches, almost the first Amud of Daf Kav Ches. I would have loved to have done more. I found this Gemara to be very difficult as it relates to Tumah V'Tara, and some of the styles of inference are difficult. So it just took me a little bit longer than I anticipated, along with work and family. So we're going to, Baruch Hashem, learn a blot and almost a blot and a half. Let's call it a blot and 3/8. And then tomorrow, of course, nothing. And then Motzei Shabbos, we'll pick up on the bottom of Kav Ches Amud Aleph and go to the bottom, Mirza Hashem, to the Mishnah of Daf Kav Tes Amud Beis. So Baruch Hashem, we're getting there. We're almost 20% of the way done with Maseches Shabbos. In an equal form, this is almost halfway of what we did in Maseches Brachos. So thank God we're making good headway. So for tonight, we're going to need to do a drop of a review. And the most important thing to see in our review, in our Divrei Hakdama, is to look at one blot ago on Kav Vav Amud Aleph, a Gemara that we learned last night, just to see one shita. If you look on the bottom of Kav Vav Amud Aleph, 3 lines from the bottom, we learned the shita of Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, and he said, Kol hayotze min ha'etz ein bo mishum shalosh al shalosh u'mesachachin bo chutz mipishtan. And his shita was that anything that is a derivative from a tree, even if it's 3 by 3 finger breadths, halacha is that it is mekabel tuma, and you can be ein bo mishum shalosh al shalosh. It is not going to be mekabel tuma, and you can use it for schach chutz mi pishtan. And pishtan was its own animal, and that is going to be mekabel tuma. We're going to spend a fair amount of time analyzing still more this shita of Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar. So let's get started on the bottom of Kav Vav Amud Beis, which is our starting point for tonight. 4 lines from the bottom, starting with Ule Rava. Ule Rava, yesterday we saw machlokes between Abaye and Rava about the shita that we just saw, about the shita of the brisa there with Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, and a seemingly opposing shita of Tana Debei Rabbi Shmuel. And in short, Rava was of the opinion that there was a difference between them, which was shlosha al shlosha, that if there was a garment that was 3 tfachim by 3 tfachim, again, our approximate handkerchief size. So the halacha is, according to Rava, that there is a difference between the Tanakama, between Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar and Tana Debei Rabbi Shmuel. There was a difference between them. Abai held there was no difference between these 2 shitas. So let's see how Rava understood things. Well, the Rava da Amar Shlosha al Shlosha b'shar begadim ikabeinahu. Rava, who said that the difference between Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar and the Tana Debei Rabbi Shmuel was this handkerchief size by sha'ar begadim, not pishtan, not flax, but something outside of the world of flax with other garments. And the Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar Islay, he held that was going to be considered mekabel tuma. Latana Debei Rabbi Shmuel Leislay, and that for that Tana Debei Rabbi Shmuel, he would not hold of that. So then, according to according to Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, who holds within Rava, and within Rava's understanding of Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, Rava understood that Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar held that a garment that was shlosha al shlosha by shar begadim had the status of tuma. It was able to be makabel tuma. So asks the Gemara, shlosha al shlosha b'shar begadim minale. Where do we know this from? How do we know that a garment that is not flax, a garment that is 3 by 3 in tfachim, how do we know that it is mekabel tuma? Answers the Gemara, nafka me o beged. It's from the pasuk of o beged. The Tanya, the Brisa says, beged, ein li ela beged. I only have a garment. Shlosha al shlosha b'shar begadim minayin. Talmud lomar o beged. So basically, from the word o, we now can understand how Rava understood Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar. Rava understood Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar in that he held that a garment that was shlosha al shlosha tfachim, and it was sha'ar begadim, it was not flax, it was anything else, cotton, whatever the other material may be, that it is eligible for tuma based on the word in the Torah, o. So that's shitas Rava. Now the Abaye, remember that Abaye argued yesterday on Rava's page, and he said that there was no machlokas between Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar and the Tana Debei Rabbi Shmuel in regards to Gimel al Gimel Tfachim. So then what does Abaye do with that pasuk? I understand according to Rava. Rava needed to explain Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar because Rava said that Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar held that Shlosha al Shlosha Tfachim was going to be Makabel Tuma. Abaye didn't hold that way. But if Abaye doesn't hold that way, then what does he do with the drasha that Rava just utilized? So that's the Gemara's question. Va'abaye, hi, o beged, my avidle. What does he do with it? Again, we understand why Rava needed the drasha. We don't understand what Abaye would do with it, because Abaye says that there's no need for it. Abaye doesn't hold that shlosha al shlosha tvachim is going to be makabel tum, according to either Reb Shimon ben Elazar or according to the Tana Devar Rishmo. Answers the Gemara, 5 lines from the top of Kav Zayin and Aleph. He said that we needed to extrapolate from our world of Negaim, which is where we started. We said that the Tuma of the Gimel al Gimel, the small one, the 3x3 finger breaths, we said that that's going to be Mekabel Tuma as it relates to Negaim. So Abaye says that the drush of O Beged teaches me that the Gimel al Gimel, etzbos, that very small garment, is going to be eligible for Tuma once it gets in touch with shratim, not just Negaim, but shratim as well. So it extends the Tuma to another area for the 3x3 finger breaths. The Rava, okay, Rava, where do you learn that then from? Rava says, I don't need a pasuk to teach me that. Now remember, we are very exacting when it comes to drashos. Throughout Shas, you'll see these types of banters all the time. Oh, what did you do with this vav? I used it for X. What are you using it for? I used it for Y. Oh, if you're using it for Y, then how does the other guy learn Y? And a lot of back and forth to make sure that every pasuk, every word, every little diuk, inference of what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted for us to learn can be learned out from the Torah. So now the Gemara throws it back to Rava. The Rava, where did you learn out shratzim from? Rava says, I don't need a drasha for that. Why does Rava need a drasha for that? Here's what the Gemara says. Because Gali Rachmana Gabe Negoim, who adin l'shratzim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu taught us already, as we learned on yesterday's blot, that something that's gimel al gimel etzbaos is going to be shayach to tuma as it relates to shratzim, so as it relates to negaim. So then Rava says it's a simple jump to go to shratzim as well. But who adin the shratzim? So Rava felt that there was no need for a drasha. Ve'abaye, how would you respond to Rava? Rava just said there's no need for a drasha. Rava says to Abaye, in effect, you just use the word o in the word me'o beged. You use that to teach me shratzim, but Rava just said you don't need the drasha at all. So what do you say back to him? Abaye, he says no. Abaye says no, I need that drasha. I cannot make the jump from Negoim to shratzim without a pasuk. Why? Because says Abaye, Ma'le Negoim ikale mifrach. I could have asked you, Ma'le Negoim shekain shesi ve'arav metame bahem. I could have argued that by Negoim, the tuma, it even can impact the garment when it's still in the fiber phase. It's not yet a full garment. It's just shesi ve'arav. It's sitting in the machine. It's sitting in the weave. It's sitting in the whatever it's called. The weaving machine. I can't remember what it's called right now. It's sitting in that machine, but it's not yet a full garment. So there by Negoim, we would have said there's a chumrah by Negoim. So Abaye felt that because there was a chumrah by Negoim, I wasn't able to do what Rava did, which is make that simple jump from Negoim to shratzim. So therefore, Abaye said we need the pasuk. Okay, v'idach, going back the other direction. Rava, what do you say about the fact that Abaye highlighted a chumrah by Negoim? Rava, if Abaye is right that there's a chumrah by Negoim, then you can't just simply say without a drasha, I'm going to then now connect this to shratzim. So Rava says back to me, Sal kadaitach Negoim chamire lichtov rachmana gabe shratzim v'leisu Negoim minayu. He's being a little tongue-in-cheek and he's saying, don't worry about it. That's ridiculous. If the Torah wanted to say this, the Torah could have said it, and the Torah didn't say it, so you're wrong. And in short, he felt that they were perfectly equivalent, and the chumrah is no big deal. The idach, what would Abaye say back to Rava? Sometimes it's hard to follow you can't come in the middle here, right? So the idach, what would Abaye say back to Rava? He would say, you couldn't have learned it from shratzim even if the Torah reversed it. Right, that's really what Rava was saying to Abaye. Rava was saying to Abaye, okay, like the fact that the Torah didn't teach it from shratzim means that it could have been learned from Negoim. And Abaye says back to him, that's not true because Negoim has its own problems, but shratzim has its own problems too. There are chidushim in both, and therefore they cannot be learned from one another. The idach, what would Abaye say? Negoim mishratzim lo asu. He says to Rava, you couldn't learn this from shratzim even if HaKadosh Baruch Hu wrote the Torah the way you wanted him to. We know that there's a significant tuma by certain types of shratzim. We know the shmona shratzim. There are 8 of them that cause for significant tuma. And how do they cause their tuma? B'chei adasha. As long as there's a bone that's the size of a barley bean, so then the tuma can be transmitted. So there's a chumrah by shratzim that doesn't exist by Negoim. So Abaye held stark that there was no reason why we could learn from Negoim to shratzim or from shratzim to Negoim. So therefore Abaye used the pasuk of O. Rava did not have the availability for that pasuk because he used it to teach us the din of shlosha al shlosha for Reb Shimon ben Elazar. So that's why we are where we are. And the Gemara pauses here with this machlokes in order to indicate to us that it is the end of the conversation between the two of them. Rava holds of his opinion that the pasuk of O comes to teach us that Reb Shimon ben Elazar held that shlosha al shlosha by sha'ar begadim is mekabel tuma, and Abaye held that that was needed to teach me a specific din. Abaye held it was needed to teach me a specific din that we extend the tuma of tzemer upishtim from the world of negoim to the world of shratzim as well. Okay. Continuing in the Gemara, all under the same topic, but slightly variant sugyas. Amar Abaye, we're about 1/3 of the way down. Amar Abaye, Hi Tana debei Rabbi Shmuel, Mapik meidach Tana debei Rabbi Shmuel. There are two opinions of Tana debei Rabbi Shmuel that are different than one another. The first one we saw already, we saw on the previous page, which is that a beged that's made of tzemer upishtim is going to be eligible for Kabbalas Tuma. That's all we know. No other begadim, seemingly, right? All right, let's see what the contrasting stira, seemingly the contrasting opinion of Tana debei Rabbi Shmuel. So the Tana debei Rabbi Shmuel, beged, eini ela beged tzemer upishtim. Minayin the Rabos, from where do I know to also include wider than the first shita, a wider collection of items that will be makabel tuma, to include tzemer gemalim, the shearings of a camel, tzemer arnavim, the hyrax or a rabbit of some kind, notza shalizim, certain extractions of an aiz, v'hashirim v'akalach v'asrikin. We learned this previously in the Masechta, different types of silk. Talmud lomar, oh beged, wow. So now we have two shitas of Tana debei Rabbi Shmuel. One of them is more limiting and says that clothing, garments can only be eligible for Kabbalas Tuma if they're made out of tzemer upishtim. And the other shita of Tana debei Rabbi Shmuel says, absolutely not. This is much, much wider. It's camel, it's the hyrax, it's this animal. It's much, much wider. It's not just these two tzemer upishtim, it's everything. So how does the Gemara answer this question? That was Abaye's presentation, that they contrast each other. Rava responds by saying that they are apples and oranges. Rava Amar, Ki lesle lahach Tana debei Rabbi Shmuel, in regards to the first Tana of Tana debei Rabbi Shmuel, lesle lahach. The first shita doesn't have these, meaning the first shita, which is more limited, that doesn't have all of these extra garments included within the list of that which can be makabel tuma. That Tana debei Rabbi Shmuel is bishar begadim shalosh al shalosh. That's talking about a question of tuma in regards to 3x3 of tzemer upishtim. However, shlosha al shlosha islay. However, the other shita of Tana debei Rabbi Shmuel, so these are just two different shitas. One is talking about the world of 3x3 tvachim. One is talking about the world of 3x3 etzbos, and therefore there's no machlokas between these two shitas. Instantly, the Gemara throws down Rava. Wait a minute. Rava, on the previous page, you said, and we just saw this on the bottom when we started today, we saw this, if you just look back at the bottom 4 lines of the Gemara, we said that there's a difference between Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar and Tana debei Rabbi Shmuel, and it was the Gimel Tvachim al Gimel Tvachim. Look at the last line of Kavav Amud Beis, last 2 lines. Tana debei Rabbi Shmuel, lesle shlosha al shlosha b'shar begadim. And right above that, Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar Islay. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar holds of it. So that's what the Gemara is going to push back now. We're 2/3 of the way down on Kav Zayin. But Rava hu da'amar shlosha al shlosha b'shar begadim Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar Islay. How can you say that? And Latana debei Rabbi Shmuel lesle. We just learned that the difference between Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, according to Rava, the difference between Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar and Tana debei Rabbi Shmuel is the case of Gimel al Gimel Tvachim. Yet you just said that there is one of these Tana debei Rabbi Shmuel's which is lesle, who does not hold of that, only by Gimel al Gimel etzbos. So answers the Gemara, Hadar be Rava mehahi. It must be that Rava retracted his initial distinction, the one that we learned yesterday, and it is no longer true that there's a difference between Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar and Tana debei Rabbi Shmuel in regards to Gimel al Gimel Tvachim. The Gemara presents a second answer as well. The Ibai Sema, if you want, I could answer as well that it was not Rava who gave this answer, but who was it? Rav Papa. Really, there was a different answer presented to this question, this seeming contradiction. Yesterday's question in regards to the similarities between Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar and Tana debei Rabbi Shmuel, and instead of Rava's answer of the difference is 3x3, and Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar agrees that it exists, And Tana Rabbi Shmuel agrees that it doesn't, so we have a different answer. Harav Papa Amra, Rav Papa Amar Afkol Lasuye Kiloyim. So yesterday at the top of Kavav Amud Beis, we learned a brisa that indicated the shita of Rabbi Shmuel, and there we saw a klal uprat, and there we learned the following line. It's 6 lines down on the top of Kavav Amud Aleph. Malahalan tzemer upishtim, afkol tzemer upishtim. That just like in one case we're talking about wool and flax, so too in other cases. So the Gemara picks up on the words afkol. Whenever we see these types of comparisons, whenever we have the word kol, almost always we ask kol la'asuye mai. What does the word kol add that I otherwise wouldn't have thought? And that's what Rav Papa does here. Back to our Gemara, 2/3 of the way down. Rav Papa Amra. Rav Papa Amar af kol la'asuye kilayim. What does it mean, kol? To teach me a case of kilayim, namely where the threads are woven together already, not just semer and not just pishtim, but actual shatnez. So says the Gemara, how could that be? Kilayim behedya ksivi be. That we have mefurish psukim in the Torah. Lo sil bashatnez semer pishtim yachdav. I don't need a drasha here to tell me that. That's mefurish a pasuk in the Torah. So what is Rav Papa talking about? Answers the Gemara, Salka daita chamina, hani mili derech levisha. I might have thought that when is it that it's a problem of it being kilayim only when it's being worn, aval beha'allah, only, but when you have something on top of you, like a blanket or something that's being draped on top of you, kol trei mine aser. Ahava mina that the isser of shatness is more expansive than semer upishtim. So it says the Gemara, wait a minute, V'lav kal v'chomer, who isn't that a kal v'chomer? Uma levisha, in regards to wearing clothes, the kamishani kule gufe mikiloim, where your whole body gets benefit. I'm wearing a jacket, it keeps me warm, it makes my whole body feel warmer, I'm getting hana from it. There we said, Amr semer upishtim in. There we said the isser of levisha, of wearing clothes, is going to be one of the Isra Doraisa of Kilayim, but only if it's Semer Upishtim, but Midia Harina Lo. But if it was cotton and linen, if it was any two other materials that wasn't wool and linen, then lo, no problem at all. Halalo Kol Shekain. Then when I'm not wearing the garment, it's only draped over me. It's not a full hana. So then of course I would not have said that there's an Isra there, and therefore we reject the shita of Rav Papa. Ela de Rav Papa bedusahi. We therefore don't accept the shita of Rav Papa. That also brings that does two things. It brings us back to Rava's answer, which is a difficult answer as we saw, because Rava was the one who said. Now we had to say that Rava was choser on his answer. And the second reason why it's a problem is because we don't know what af kol means anymore from the top of Kavav Amud Beis. Kol la'asu yemai. So the Gemara leaves the first issue that I mentioned, but then it does hone in on the second issue, and we are on the bottom line of Kav Zayin Amud Aleph. Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak Amar, Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak said, af kol, turning to the top of Kav Zayin Amud Beis, la'asu tzitzis. This comes to teach me that there's an application of tzemer pishtim in the world of tzitzis. Off the top of the page, this is where there are those shitas that indicate that it's better to wear a beged of tzitzis that's made out of tzemer as opposed to one that is made out of cotton. The Shulchan Aruch quotes this opinion and then writes in the name of the Rama, which is of course our Ashkenazi psak, that we hold that there still is a mitzvah b'kol minei begadim. Nevertheless, there are those who are machmer to wear tzemer, to be machmer for all shitas, so to make sure that the beged is itself tzemer, and that comes from these two words at the top of the page, la'asuye tzitzis. Take a look at the top Rashi, a critical Rashi for Yedias Klalius, and to be a part of the dialogue of whether or not you should wear wool tzitzis or cotton tzitzis. Rashi says, "La'asuye tzitzis to lo mechayve betzitzis ela bigdei tzemer upishtim." That's crazy, unbelievable. According to Rashi's understanding of the Gemara, one who wears tzitzis that are not wool, you're not yotze the mitzvah of tzitzis klal uchlau. Nothing. It's derabanan. It's derabanan. It's like putting on tefillin before your bar mitzvah. It's derabanan. You don't fulfill the mitzvah derais. Again, this is one opinion that we don't hold by. But this conversation in Shulchan Aruch and Siman Tes is an important one, and one that there is reason to try and be machmir to wear a wool garment if it is within your means to do so. But that's what the Gemara says here. Anyways, continuing, the Gemara then says, tzitzis b'hedyaksiv. Wait a minute, I don't need you to tell me kol la'asu yema. I learned it from the word kol from the drush on the top of Kav Amud Beis in the Brisa. I don't need that. I have two psukim in the Torah. Tzitzis behedya ksiv. It's explicitly written in the Torah. Lo sil b'ashanei semer pishtim uksiv gdilim tasaloch. So we know already from two psukim in the Torah that seemingly the mitzvah of tzitzis is only done when the garment is going to be tzemer. Says the Gemara, Sal Kadaita Chamina Kidarava. No, the reason why Rav Nachman said La Asuye Tzitzis, that we had to include the case of tzitzis, was because of the following consideration. De Rava Rami Ksiv. Rava asked a question about two psukim and then gave pshat in the two psukim. Here's pasuk number one. Hakanaf psil tchelas hakanaf. So he says min knaf, a certain type of corner. It has to be the same. Presumably, maybe even the same material, as we'll learn in a moment. Uksiv tzemer pishtim yachdav. Haketzad. How does this work out? Tzemeru pishtim. If the beged is made out of wool or made out of flax, potrin bein b'minon bein shelo b'minon, then you can fulfill the mitzvah of tzitzis no matter what the material is of the strings. However, she'ar min, and if one were to wear, let's say, cotton tzitzis, then b'minon potrin, then you would be yotze only with the exact same material. Most of our tzitzis are made out of wool, the strings. But if the beged is made out of cotton and the strings are made out of wool, according to Rabbi, you're not yotze. She'ar minin b'minin potrin, shelo b'minin ein potrin. One might have thought that the answer to the contradiction in Psukim here is like Rava, Kamash Malan, that we don't hold like Rava. Yesterday, I briefly shared with you elements of the sugya of whether or not we are to wear tchelas. And this Gemara right here plays a pivotal role in that conversation, because as mentioned, there is a shita that holds that the material has to be the same color as the garment. This Kamash Malan here is picked up by some of the Rishonim to indicate that what Rava was wrong about was that he thought that the material of the beged had to be the same as the material of the strings. Some Rishonim say Rava's wrong, and really it has to be the same color. And that is indicated here in some of the Rishonim as well, which is where we get that shita from. If we were to stop this sugya here, the sugya does stop here in regards to tzitzis. It is a tough argument to say that tzitzis outside of being wool or linen are the ideal garment. Nevertheless, it is quoted in Shulchan Aruch that way, that in the Ramah, that we are allowed to wear garments that are other than wool, which is why it is prevalent, certainly among Ashkenazim, it is prevalent to wear cotton tzitzis. There is a shaila in the poskim about mesh tzitzis. You kind of have to look at the beged in regards to whether or not there's enough material there. Usually by the mesh, it could be that more than 50% of the beged is actually space instead of it actually being beged. So that's a shaila as to whether or not mesh tzitzis fall into that category. So from my rabbanim and from having learned over the years, it seems that at a minimum, B'nai Torah should be wearing cotton, and it is a preference, probably in the realm of chumrah more than halacha, but it is a preference to wear wool if that is feasible for one to buy. They do last a long time. You can dry clean them. They do last a long time. And you can dry clean them with the strings too. All the local cleaners here know how to clean talesim and strings. They're pretty good at it. They iron them. They're nicer than when you got them out of the bag. Okay, we're going to continue now. We are about 8 lines down on Kav Zayin Amud Beis.
Bill,
yes.
The Spartan hold they wear wool and the wool baguette and wool tzitzis.
So that is based on two things. That's, of course, based on the Gemara that we just saw, because we don't see the shita of the Ramah here that other garments are allowed. And it's based, secondly, on this shita of Rava l'chumra, that Rava held that the garment and the strings had to be of the same material. Now, typically, anyways, most of the tzitzis strings that we buy are made out of wool. I don't know that they make them in any other material. But I don't know. I could be wrong.
Yeah, but the baguette also.
Right, exactly. By Sephardim, if any of you are of Sephardic descent, you should probably be wearing. The actual garment should actually be wool, because that may be a difference between your mitzvah of being a mitzvah d'oraisa of tzitzis versus fulfilling a mitzvah d'rabbanan. Says the Gemara.
Do that also.
What?
Hasidim do that also.
Yeah, and they wear it over their clothes too. That's a separate discussion. Yeah. Amar Ravacha Berei de Rava Ravashi. Still in the same sugya of Reb Shimon ben Elazar and Tana de Rabbi Shmuel. Amar Ravacha Berei de Rava Ravashi. L'Tana de Rabbi Shmuel. Ma'ishna le'inyan tuma de marbe she'ar begadim d'chsiv o beged. In regards to the shita of Tana de Rabbi Shmuel, what is the difference for him in regards to tuma, that he includes she'ar begadim, as it says in the pasuk o beged? Hachanami, here too by tzitzis, maybe we should have said lema l'rabos she'ar begadim me'asher techaseba. Maybe we should include other I'm sorry, I said the sugya ended. I wasn't correct. The sugya of tzitzis continues a little bit more. So there, why don't we say hachanami? Maybe by tzitzis also lema l'rabos she'ar begadim asher techaseba. Says the Gemara, you cannot learn that out from the words o beged, because those words hahu la'asuye ksus suma hu da'asa. That comes to tell me that someone who is blind, their garment is still a garment midoraisa afal pi that they cannot see. We'll see a svar for this soon. The Tanya. The Brisa writes, Re'isem oso. What does the pasuk mean when it says Re'isem oso? Prat l'ksus laila. At a time when you cannot see at night. So then that's how we get the din that ksus laila does not have a din of tzitzis midoraisa. If one were to put on tzitzis at night, and it was a perfect garment, a regular pair of tzitzis, you would not make a bracha. And if a person during the day drapes themselves in a sheath, let's say that a person is dressing up in a modest way, but in a toga, so they're dressing up in a toga, that's great. You make a bracha, it's 4 p.m., the sun is up. So the halacha is we don't do that either, because the sheet is ksus laila. It's not even ksus really, but it's big day laila, whatever it is. And we would not make a bracha on that too, even if the corners are perfectly square. We still would not make a bracha on that because it's ksus laila. That's based on this price and this drasha. Isem so prat ksus laila. Ata omer prat ksus laila. You say that the words isem so teaches me to preclude that which is ksus laila. O eno ela prat ksus suma. Maybe we should be using these words so to preclude the ksusuma. Kshehu omer asher techaseba. No, you cannot say that, because when it says asher techaseba, harei ksus suma amor. So that we see it's included from there. So we're not going to exclude it because it's included over there. Hamani makayim urisemoso prat ksus laila. So what am I left with in regards to urisemoso? Obviously, concluding the brisa, being overly clear, is prat ksus laila, just to exclude from the eligibility of the mitzvah that which is considered big day laila. How is it that the brisa knew to include a suma and to exclude ksus laila? Answers the Gemara with a svara, a very logical svara, and that is as follows: Mar be'ani ksus suma sheyeshna bere'ia eitza lacherim. As it relates to the ksus of the suma, if a person is blind, I see their tzitzis. Their tzitzis are real. Everyone but him can see them. There are more people that can see the ksus laila, the ksus of a suma, than the ksus of ksus laila. And that's the next point. And it says, Mar bani ksus suma sheyeshna be'etza lacherim. Everyone can see the garments of a person who's a suma. Umotzi ani ksus laila she'ena be'etza lacherim. Nobody can see ksus laila. So the Gemara therefore said it's more mistaber to include the beged of a suma, the clothing of someone who's blind, into the mitzvah deoraisa of tzitzis, and to exclude, using urisem, so prat, to exclude ksus laila, because when it's nighttime, minus our current culture of canned lighting and all the other wonderful amenities that we have, minus that, but at nighttime, when it's dark out, no one can see ksus laila. By the way, this should ring a bell to the Mishnayos that we learned in Maseches Brachos about when is the earliest time to be able to put on tzitzis. And we said it depends what you can see. It's all based on Re'iyah. So because of that, the Mishnayos and Brachos indicate as they do, but that's all indicated from this svara. Says the Gemara, the Ema, maybe we should say that the pasuk of Asher Techase, which we said was used to include a suma, maybe which we should say that it's L'Rabos She'ar Begadim. Maybe we should have, seemingly out of left field, we should have used this pasuk to say that there's tuma by she'ar begadim. Says the Gemara with a wonderful answer: Mistabra, koi betzemer upishtim, mar betzemer upishtim, koi betzemer upishtim, mar b'shar begadim. What are you talking about? You got to have some context here to your drasha. Not every drasha feels like it has context, but here the Gemara pushes back and said, we're talking about tzemer upishtim here. Or why are you tzemer upishtim by a person who's not blind? How about tzemer upishtim by a person who's blind? Why would I lose the opportunity to include the suma from the pasuk of Asher Techaseh with a beged the semer upishtim, and to include the status of Kabbalah's tuma by a beged that's shlosha tvachim? It's a non sequitur. The thing they don't follow one to the next, and the Gemara does not like it. Continues the Gemara at the 2 dots, 2/3 of the way down on Kav Zayin Amud Beis. Amar Rabbi Reb Shimon ben Elazar v'Sumchos Amru Davar Echad. Reb Shimon ben Elazar Nachamo, the one who held that even fibers, as we saw in the bottom of Kavav Amud Aleph when we started this sugya, even fibers are considered to be eligible for tuma. That's similar to the opinion of Sumchos. So Amar Abaye, Reb Shimon ben Elazar v'Sumchos Amru Davar Echad. Reb Shimon ben Elazar had the Amr, and like we've seen multiple times, that he held that Pishtan was Mekabel Tuma, and we saw after that even the fibers are. That's going to be an important factor here. Sumchos, what's the Maramakom for Sumchos? Sumchos says the Tanya, Sumchos Omer Sichacha betavu Psula mipnei shemetama ben Agoyim. If you use for schach that which was already woven together, a piece of thread that was woven, not just a thread. Let's say you pull out one thread from within the fabric of a tree, maybe that's fine. But if you weave it into a braid, you weave it into a fabric, then that's not fine. Psula mibnei shemetama ben Agoyim. So because now that this is eligible to become tamid ben Agoyim because it's braided or woven, so therefore it's mekabel tuma now, and therefore you're not allowed. Therefore you're not allowed to use it for schach. Says the Gemara Kiman, upon whose shita does Sumchos rely? Ki hai Tana. Like one of the shitas in the following Mishnah. The Tanan, the Mishnah writes, Shesi ve'erev mitame ben Agoyim miyad divrei Reb Meir. So Sumchos is not like this shita. That Shesi ve'erev, the length and width, when the garment is being woven together and all the garments are intertwined, you're starting to see the weave. Right, the thing moves threads this way as it above and below it raises, and it's weaving everything together beautifully. So that's shita. That's the shita of Rav Meir. But the shita that's more like Sumchos is the following one: Rabbi Yehuda Omer Hashesi mishayishlev ha'erev miyad ha'onen shel pishtan mishayislavnu. They don't have to be woven together in order to be considered tamei, and that is the shita of Reb Shimon ben Elazar. And Sumchos was making reference to that which was woven together, but he's reliant on the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, and that is the opinion that when are things going to become a kabel tuma hashesi, the one that's in one direction is mishayishle, when it is removed from the pot, and the arev in the other direction is miyad, instantly, doesn't need any treating. The loose fibers shall pishtan mishayislavnu once they've been bleached, before they're put into the machine, into the weaving machine. So there we see another equivalence of the shita of Rav Shimon ben Elazar with that of Sumchos. Baruch Hashem, we finished the Mishnah. So now we are going to move on to the next Mishnah, and we're going to go right until the wider lines on Kav Ches and Amud Aleph, and then we're going to call it a night tonight. Opens the Mishnah with a somewhat of a complicated sugya. Kol hayotze min ha'etz ein madlikin bo ela pishtan. And this we've seen already in some variations. Kol hayotze min ha'etz, anything that comes out of a tree, we're not allowed to light with except for pishtan. This next din is a din in tumas ohel. V'chol hayotze min ha'etz einu mitame tumas ohel ela pishtan. Any wood derivative that is the actual ohel above a mace and above something else, yes, it is correct that the tuma transfers. What is not correct is that if it's regular wood, the wood itself doesn't become tamei. So let's say my hand is the wood, and there's a mace, he died, and there's also something else here. And there's something else, let's say that I have my phone here, right? So let's say you could see my phone and it's standing up here. So here's my wood plank. It's made out of oak. It's not made out of wood from the flax tree. And the mace dies right here. So the tuma goes up into the wood and goes down and is matame everything. However, what's the status of the wood? What's the status of the ohel itself? So that's what this Mishnah is referring to back in the Mishnah. Anything that comes from the tree itself is eino mitame tumas ohalim ela pishtan. The only wood that would itself become tamei, all of the wood would function as an ohel to transfer tuma. That's for sure. But the question is, what happens to the wood itself? So only if it's from a flax tree does it become itself tamei and therefore would need to be metaher. Otherwise, it does transfer the tuma as an ohel, but itself doesn't become tamei. You can see this in the bottom Rashi here. Rashi dibur hamaschel ena metame tumas ohalim im asa mehen ohel. If you made a tent out of a piece of wood, pine, whatever it is, ve'ameis tachtav have kishar bayis. But ve'ein tzarech lahatbil ha'ohel atzmo. You don't have to take the ohel itself to the mikvah. Delo kibel tuma ela kelim shetachtav. The only tuma is that which is under it. But in and of itself, because the wood was not from a flax tree, based on this Mishnah, we'll see Samar and Makomos. Based on this Mishnah, we therefore see that the wood itself is not makabel tuma, even though it does still function as an ohel. All right, so continues, the Gemara here opens. Minolan de Pishtan ikri eitz. How do we know that Pishtan itself has the status of an eitz? Omar Mar Zutra de Omar Krabi hihe alesam hagaga v'sit menem b'pishtei ha'eitz. When she was hiding the meraglim on their way down, so So then, under those circumstances, we see Halesema Gaga brought him up to the roof. Name bepishte ha'etz. We refer to pishtan as eitz, and therefore it is considered to be that the pishtan is eitz. Someone's just asking a question. So if you remove the body from the ohel, the tuma is gone. The tuma was never present by the ohel. Let's say that there was an umbrella or a tree. Under one side of the tree is a cemetery. Under the other side of the tree is a kohen. So if ever they are both under the tree at the same time, right? Let's say that this is the tree up here, and they're under. So the mace is here and a kohen is here. The kohen is automatically tamei mace midoraisa, and he needs a para aduma near Hashem Bekara with the coming back return of the Beis Hamikdash. Will be able to do that. It should be amazing. I'm sure you all heard the Rav Chaim Kanievsky comment. He said that Emir Hashem that by Chol Hamoed that Mashiach will already have come. Should be quite remarkable. And we can rely on Pesach Sheni for the Korban Pesach. A lot of wonderful things will happen in Emir Hashem. But once something is under the Ohel, so that it becomes Tameh, even if you then remove the mace, the Kohen is already Tameh. It's an instantaneous transfer of Tuma. And the Gemara here is making a distinction not about that which is under the umbrella, not about that which is under the tree, but rather about the tree itself. And if the wood is made out of anything other than pishtan, that the wood itself doesn't become tamei. Either way, the Gemara here concludes that pishtan is considered an eitz, and therefore it is the exception of the rule in that it does become tamei itself if it were to be the ohel. Says the Gemara, 3 lines from the bottom, where do we know this from? How do we know that this is the case, that pishtan does become tamei? Amar Rebbe Lazar, Gomar ohel mi mishkan. Buckle up. This is a wonderful Gemara that has challenges to it, and we can all get through it together and carefully and with nuance. It is a Tumah V'Tara Gemara. It is a Gzera Shava Gemara, and we all have the capacity to learn them. I've had a mental block when I've learned Gemaras like this in the past, and as I started teaching Daf Yomi, I have realized that I have to figure it out one way or the other, so I figured it out. But it wasn't easy. Amar Rebbe Lazar, Gomar, we have a Gzera Shava, ohel mi mishkan. What is the Gzera Shava? Ksiv hacha zos haTorah adam kiyamus ba'ohel. All right, a famous pasuk. We're familiar with that one. That pasuk is in Bamidbar. This is the Torah of an adam kiyamus ba'ohel, when a person dies in an ohel. Uksiv hasam v'yifros es ha'ohel al ha'mishkan. Ma lehalan shel pishtan karui ohel. Just like over there by the Mishkan, we were using pishtan and we referred to it as an ohel. Afkan shel pishtan karui ohel. Here too, in our case, we see that the pishtan is referred to as an ohel. What does that imply? That other types of wood are not considered an ohel. They function as an ohel to transfer tuma, but they themselves don't become tamei with the tuma. So then it says the Gemara, wait a minute. You just made a Gzera Shava from the Mishkan to the halachos of tumas ohel. So the Gemara asks a Geshmak question. This is a great general question whenever we learn Gzera Shavas, which is, what can be brought over the bridge of the Gzera Shava? You brought over one din. The one din that you brought over is that Pishtan has the din of ohel. Very good. But 1 second, in the Mishkan, what did the Pishtan look like? What was the fabric like in the end? Imala halan shizurin v'chutan kaful vav. Avkan shizurin v'chutan kaful vav. What did they do with the threads in the Beis Hamikdash? They wove them 6 strong. So maybe we should say that pishtan's only pishtan when it's woven 6 strong. We have Gzera Shava, right? We go over here, we have Gzera Shava number 1. We have ohel, the Mishkan. Over here, we have a Gzera Shava of ohel by a mace. And what did you say? I can learn from here to here, from the Mishkan to the halachos of a person who's dead, that pishtan is called eitz, and it's called ohel. Beautiful, gotcha. Well, you know what? In the Mishkan, they also did a 6 braid on all of the threads. Why don't we say that the only time that the pishtan is going to be tamei tumas is with a 6 braid? Why? How powerful, how widespread is your Gzera Shava? Answers the Gemara, nope, nothing doing. Talmud Lomar, ohel riba. Here, it's more inclusive. The words ohel themselves make a reference, and it's specifically talking about ohel. So therefore, we do not have to factor in the 6 braid, and we would just say, generally speaking, that just like by the Mishkan, we had pishtan, and it was part of the ohel. So too, pishtan by Misa, by an ohel mace is considered an ohel. Says the Gemara, ohel riba, afilu kol mile nami. If you're telling me that it's such a wonderful Gzeira Shava, where does it stop? How do you decide what goes in the Gzeira Shava and what doesn't go inside the Gzeira Shava? We have a rule that we are not allowed to make Gzeira Shavas. We little people are not allowed to make Gzeira Shavas. Only the Chachamim are allowed to use the Gzeira Shava. You can't say, the pasuk says, Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe Lemor over here, and it says, Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe Lemor over there. One was talking about the Korban, one was talking about the Parsha of Tzitzis, so I can be makar of my own Tzitzis as a Korban. That's ridiculous. We're not allowed to make up our own Gzeira Shavas. There is a discussion in the poskim about whether or not we're allowed to make our own Kal V'chomers and what the halachic status of that would be, Midaraisa, Midarabanan. That's a good question. Either way, the Gemara here is bothered. You can't do that. You can't just say whatever you want. There have to be rules to the Gzeira Shava. How did you decide that the halacha of Tumas Ohel by the Pishtan will transfer over the bridge of the Gzeira Shava, but not anything else? So the Gemara says, Yim Kain Gzeira Shava Maya Hanile. No, we know that the Gzeira Shava isn't a catch-all. It doesn't do everything. It needed some minimum scope. So that's what we said that it did. Okay. So then we therefore assume right now that the Gzeira Shava only applies to the transferring of the din of Ohel from Pishtan and Ohel by the Mishkan to Pishtan and Ohel by Tumas Ohel. Very good. So if we stopped right now, right here, now we have our Mari Makom. We started at the bottom of the previous Amud. How do we know that Pishtan is Metame Tumas Ohel, that in and of itself, as the Ohel becomes Tame, we have our answer, it's a Gzeira Shava. Says the Gemara, wait a minute. You said it's only by one kind of wood, it's the wood from flax. I can give you a Mari Makom, I could give you a comparative analysis of two psukim that indicates that the krushim, that the wood themselves should become Tame. Ve'ema, malahalan krushim, afkan krushim. Over there by the Beis HaMikdash, we used krushim. They were made out of cedar wood. Cedar wood is not flax wood. Maybe we should say now that all wood is metame tumas ohel, not just flax. Good question of the Gemara. Omar kra ve'asisa krushim la mishkan. And here's the Gemara's answer. No, the pasuk says ve'asisa krushim la mishkan. You took boards and you made them for the mishkan. Mishkan, karui mishkan. Ve'ein krushim, karui mishkan. You can't make the comparison between the two worlds because a Karesh is a Karesh and a Mishkan is a Mishkan, and they do not blend. They're not the same thing. So here the Gemara asks a sophisticated, nuanced question. Elamayata, if what you're saying is that Krushim le Mishkan, the Krushim were for the Mishkan, but still you're saying the Krushim cannot be learned from one world to another. The Krushim are the Krushim and the Mishkan is the Mishkan. Elamayata, that's a big problem because what does the pasuk say? Ve'asisa michsala ohel. You're supposed to make a covering for the ohel. You can already see the structural similarity. Krushim leMishkan, and here what do we have? Michsa leOhel. So do we say that they're totally separated? What was the michsa made out of? The cover of the ohel was made out of animal hide. There's a discussion of whether or not the animals were kosher or not. We would have presumed yes. We'll see a shita like that today. So the Gemara here says, Hachanami michsa lo ikri ohel. Maybe we should have said that just like krushim are not considered mishkan, maybe we should have said that michsa is not considered ohel. Elad, we can't say that. Why? Because Hadabai Rabbi Elazar. Rabbi Elazar asked the following question, which does not fit with this analysis. What did he ask? He asked the following question. Or behema tmeya. If you have the leathered skin of a behema that is tmeya, mahu sheyitma be'ohel meis. Would it be itself tame if it was the ohel that caused for tumas meis to transfer? Hashta, says the Gemara, retorting to this construct. The Gemara says, wait a minute. Why would Rebbe Elazar have even asked that question? Hashta or behema tahora lo metame. We don't even have or behema tahora, which has a higher capacity for tuma. Anything that has the capacity for kedusha, anything that's more tahor, has the capacity for more tuma. So says the Gemara, Rebbe Elazar's question doesn't make any sense. How could he ask about behema tmeya? Hashta or behema tahora lo metama or behema tmeya mibaya? Of course, that's not the case. And what is the Gemara really saying? It must be that in the pasuk of Ve'asisa michsa le'ohel, it must be that we don't say that the michsa and the ohel are completely separate. No, the michsa is part of the ohel. And therefore, what was the argument from before? The krushim are also part of the mishkan, which means that maybe we should still be saying that other wood, she'ar eitzim, should still be subject to tumas ohel. Why is it only the wood of pishtan? Again, a sophisticated question of the Gemara. And here the Gemara answers no. It's not correct. We made the right distinction by saying that krushim are not part of the Mishkan. What about the fact that michsa was separated from ohel? Answers the Gemara, shiny hasam. The case of the michsa and the ohel is different because the hadar ahadre kra. There we had other psukim that were involved in the psukim of regards to the michsa, and therefore they do have to be connected, and that's what validates Rabbi Elazar's question, because Rabbi Elazar needed the pasuk to say michsa and ohel were similar to one another and not distinct, and he can have that because there are other psukim to support. But we don't have those other psukim to say that krushim and mishkan are so similar, so there we leave the difference there, and the implication is that wood would not be eligible for tumas ohel unless it was flax. And Rabbi Elazar's question that he asked about the ore of the behemoth tmeya is now a valid question. What is the comparison that we learn from these extra psukim that we just saw? 1/3 of the way down. Makish elyon letachton. We compare the elyon, the upper, to the lower. Ma tachton karui ohel. Just like the lower parts of the leathers that we had that were closer to the ground were referred to as ohel based on these psukim. Af elyon karui ohel. Perfect. And that brings us to the 2 dots. And now I'll just give a brief summary of what we've done. We're going to do one more mini sugya until the second to last of the skinny lines, and then we're going to stop. Here is what the Gemara is saying. We asked our question of how do we know that flax is that wood from a flax tree is going to be tamei tumas ohel, and that wood, regular other wood, is not going to be tamei tumas ohel, even if it functions to transfer tuma. And we answered from a gzeira shava, the gzeira shava of ohel from the world of Mishkan. The Gemara questioned that by saying about the leather, how far do we take our gzeira shava, and we answered that question. However, we answered that question, and then the Gemara said, what about regular wood? We have krushim everywhere, and then the Gemara says we don't say that krushim are the Mishkan. Krushim are separate of the Mishkan. We asked from the world of michsa and from the world of ohel. What about that pasuk? There we said we needed the michsa and ohel to be together. Otherwise, Rabbi Elazar didn't make sense. And we answer with psukim to say that yes, in fact, by michsa and ohel, they are the same, and we do keep the distinction of krushim and mishkan, and therefore everything is kaftor v'ferach, everything is perfectly clear in regards to what our mari makomos are. And the short of it is that the reason how we know that wood flax is considered to be matame to us ohel is because of the gzeira shava of ohel mishkan. Let's learn one more small sugya, and then we'll wrap up for the night. Right in the middle of the page, 2 dots, kaf ches amud aleph. Gufa, boy Rebbe Lazar, or behemoth tmeya mahushiyat matumas ohel. And we asked this question in the name of Rebbe Lazar. We said, what about the skin of a behemoth tmeya? What is the din as to whether it itself will become tamei if it functions as an ohel? Says the Gemara, my kami baile. What kind of question are you even asking here? Amar Ravada barava tachash. There was an animal that only existed in the times of the Beis Hamikdash, the tachash. Shahaya bimei Moshe kami baile. He was asking not generally about the or behemoth tmeya. He was asking about a specific or behemoth as to whether or not it was tmeya, and that's the animal of the tachash. Tamei haya o tahor haya. Amar of Yosef, your question is ridiculous. You want to know if the tachash was kosher to be used in the Beis Hamikdash? HaKadosh Baruch Hu created this animal just at the right time to use its skin for the Beis Hamikdash. Of course it's going to be kosher. How do we know? Because Amar of Yosef, Maiti Baile, a rhetorical question. Tanina, look at the Mishnah that we have. Lo huchshiru lemelechas shamayim ela or behemoth Torah bilvad. Of course the tachash was kosher because it was used in the Beis Hamikdash. And we have a principle that all of the animals that are going to be used in the Beis Hamikdash have to be Torah. Says the Gemara, really? Hang on one second. Masiv Rabbi Abba, Rabbi Huda Omer Shnei Michsos Hayu. There were 2 layers of the coverings in the Beis Hamikdash. Echad shel oros elim me'adamim. One was the skins of rams that was dyed red, a kosher animal, of course, as we know. Ve'echad shel oros techashim. And one of them was this oros techashim. So far, so good. But listen to this dissenting opinion. Rav Nechemia Omer, he says no. Michsa echad haya, there was only one covering. The domek min tleilan. It was similar to this animal, a spotted animal. We don't know exactly what it was, maybe a jaguar or some type of animal that had spots all over it. But Rav Nechemia, how can you say that? V'hat tleilan tamehu. What do we see from here? This questions the Havamina that all of the animals that were used in the Beis Hamikdash were all tahor. Maybe not. This tle ilan seemingly was tummy. Answers the Gemara, no. Hachi kamar. Kimin tle ilanu. It was similar to it in that sheyesh ba gvanim harbe. It had a lot of different shades to it. Whatever kosher animal has a lot of shades, we don't know which one it is. The lo tle ilan, it wasn't actually the treif animal that was spotted. The ilu hasam tame v'hacha tahor, because that animal does not fit, because we rely on the Mishnah that we saw earlier that lo hukshu lemalechas shamayim elaor behema tahora bilvad. And now the Gemara closes off. Amar Rav Yosef, I could bring a raya to that. In fact, we know that this is the case because there's a reference in the Chachamim, in the Unkelos there, in the Targum that says saskona, and here is what the word saskona means. Look at the play on words; it's very clever. Shesas begvanin harbe. It's happy with all of its different shades. So this animal was a kosher one. And that is the end of this section as well. We're going to stop here for tonight on Motzei Shabbos Im Yirtzeh Hashem at 9:30, a little later than last week at 9:30. We are going to continue with Rava Omar, and anything that, any backdrop that is going to be needed to catch you up, I'll certainly share with you. I will post the audio to WhatsApp, post the video to YouTube. If you have any questions, of course, please feel free to let me know.